Nobody drains you. They only touch the places in you that are still open. That's the paradox. Because you can blame a person for your exhaustion. You can name them as the cause. You can point to their words, their energy, their chaos. But if we're being honest, the reason it hurts is not because they spoke. It's because something inside you still believed it. And this is where Carl Jung becomes unavoidable. Jung didn't talk about positive vibes. He talked about the shadow, the unseen parts of you, the disowned parts, the rejected parts. And he understood something most people spend their whole lives avoiding. If you don't face what's inside you, you will keep meeting it outside you. So today, we're going to talk about how to become emotionally untouchable. Not numb, not cold, not distant. Untouchable in the deepest sense. The kind of untouchable where your nervous system is no longer for rent. Where your peace is no longer for sale. Where no one can hijack your mood. Where you stop leaking energy into people who haven't earned access to your inner world. And stay to the end. Because I'll give you one sentence you can use that ends most draining conversations instantly, without starting a fight. If you've been feeling drained, this isn't just a video. It's a mirror. You know what it feels like. You wake up fine. You're steady. You're clear. Then one message comes in. One comment. One tone of voice. And suddenly your energy collapses. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts speed up. You start explaining yourself in your head like you're on trial. Or maybe it's not one moment. Maybe it's a slow bleed. You spend time with someone and afterwards you feel empty. Like your battery didn't just drop. It disappeared. And the confusing part is this. Sometimes it's not even toxic people. Sometimes it's family, a partner, a friend, a coworker, someone you genuinely care about. But around them, you shrink. You become hyper-aware. You overthink your words. You manage their emotions like it's your responsibility. You try to be understood. You try to keep the peace. You try to avoid conflict. And you call it kindness. But what it really is self-abandonment. And after a while, your body keeps score. You feel tired even when you sleep. You feel tense even when nothing is happening. You feel like you're carrying invisible weight. So you ask the question everyone asks, how do I stop people from draining me? But that question points outward. The deeper question is, what inside me keeps opening the door? Let me make it real. A woman I'll call Ada wakes up calm. She's doing better lately. She's proud of it. Then her phone buzzes. It's one message from someone she cares about. Wow, you're really selfish these days. That's all. No paragraph. No explanation. Just a sentence. And instantly her body reacts like an emergency. Her throat tightens. Her stomach drops. Her mind starts sprinting. She types back 3 long messages. Deletes them. Rewrites. Explains. Apologizes, adds emojis to soften it. Then she sends a final version that isn't even her truth. It's just a peace offering. And when it's done, she stares at the screen, feeling hollow, not because the message had power, but because it touched a place in her that was still open, a place that still believed, if someone is upset with me, I'm unsafe. That's what draining really is. Not energy loss. A survival system turning on. Here's what most people don't realize. You're not drained by people. You're drained by patterns. A person triggers a pattern. A pattern activates an old emotional circuit. And your nervous system reacts like it's fighting for survival. This is not weakness. This is conditioning. Somewhere in your past, you learned rules like, I must keep people happy to be safe. If someone is upset, it's my fault. If I'm not perfect, I'll be rejected. If I say no, I'll lose love. And those rules didn't come from logic. They came from experience. Your shadow is full of survival strategies that once kept you alive, but now they keep you trapped. Jung described the shadow as everything you refuse to see in yourself, not just the dark parts, but also your power, your anger that protects you, your truth that scares people, your boundaries that feel selfish, your confidence that once got punished. So what happens? You disown it. You become the nice one, the understanding one, the always available one, the forgiving one. And you think you're spiritual. But spirituality without boundaries becomes self-erasure. Then life sends you a teacher, a person who presses the exact bruise you keep hiding, a person who demands what you keep giving, a person who takes what you never learned to protect, not because life hates you, but because something in you is trying to wake up. The trigger is not the enemy. The trigger is the flashlight. It points to what still lives in your shadow. A trigger is a moment where your inner world becomes visible. If you get unusually angry, it's not random. If you spiral into shame, it's not random. If you feel desperate to be understood, it's not random. Your reaction is information. So ask a better question. What is this touching in me? Not, what are they doing wrong? But, what wound is being activated? What fear is being exposed? What belief about myself just got threatened? Because here's the truth that changes everything. The person did not create the wound. They revealed it. And once you see it, you have a choice. You can keep projecting, keep blaming, keep rehearsing the story of how they drained you. Or you can do the work that closes the leak. Shadow work, not aesthetic shadow work. Not, I journaled once. Real shadow work. The kind that turns triggers into power. The kind that stops your nervous system from begging for safety outside you. Imagine your energy is water, and your boundaries are the cup that holds it. If the cup has cracks, it doesn't matter how much water you pour in. You will keep losing it. You can meditate. You can manifest. You can pray. You can visualize. But if you keep giving your energy away through guilt, people-pleasing, and unspoken resentment, you'll still feel empty. Because the problem was never that you didn't have energy. The problem is that you didn't have containment. Boundaries are not walls. They are sacred architecture. They tell life. This is where I end, and you begin. And when you lack boundaries, your shadow runs the show. Because your shadow whispers. If I set a boundary, they'll leave. If I speak up, I'll be punished. If I say no, I'll be alone. So you stay open. And people, consciously or unconsciously, walk right in. Many people confuse emotional strength with emotional distance. They say, I don't want to care anymore. They say, I want to be numb. They say, I want nothing to affect me. But numbness is not power. Numbness is shut down. It's your nervous system deciding. Feeling is too dangerous. Being untouchable is different. Being untouchable means you feel, but you don't drown. You listen, but you don't absorb. You love, but you don't abandon yourself. It's the difference between a sponge and a mirror. A sponge takes in everything. A mirror reflects what is not yours. You are not here to absorb people's unprocessed emotions. You are not here to carry what they refuse to hold. Compassion does not mean self-sacrifice. And boundaries do not mean hatred. They mean clarity. They mean self-respect. They mean, I can care about you without carrying you. Now here's the moment your power returns. Because the next time someone tries to pull you into chaos, you stop reacting automatically. You pause. You breathe. You watch your inner world like a calm witness, and you ask, what part of me is about to perform an old role? Because most draining dynamics are roles. You become the rescuer, the fixer, the peacemaker, the therapist, the one who explains, the one who apologizes for existing. These roles feel like love, but they are fear. And when you stop playing the role, something strange happens. People may resist, not because you became bad, but because you became different. Your new boundary disrupts the old contract, and this is where many people fail. They set one boundary, then collapse into guilt. They say no, then over-explain. They stand up for themselves, then self-punish. So hear this. Boundaries only work when you stop negotiating with discomfort. Your nervous system will shake at first because you're leaving survival mode, and survival mode will always call growth danger. Stay, breathe, hold the line. Here's a tool you can use in real time. I call it the 10-second untouchable reset. When you feel the pull, when you feel your chest tighten, when you feel the urge to explain yourself, do this. Name it. This is a trigger. Exhale longer than you inhale. Ask, what am I afraid will happen if I don't engage? Choose one clean boundary sentence. That's it. Not a speech, not a performance, a sentence. Because your peace doesn't need permission. And here are 4 questions to go deeper when you're calm. What am I afraid will happen if I don't engage? If you don't respond immediately, what do you fear? That they'll be angry? That they'll leave? That you'll be misunderstood? This exposes the hidden contract. What identity am I trying to protect? Are you trying to protect being seen as good, as nice, as loyal, as strong? Sometimes your identity is your cage. What emotion am I avoiding by people-pleasing? Often people-pleasing is avoidance. Avoiding conflict, avoiding rejection, avoiding loneliness, avoiding being seen. When you stop avoiding, you stop leaking. What boundary would my healed self set here? Not your angry self. Not your wounded self. Your healed self. The version of you that does not beg for safety. Then set it simply. No speech, no drama, no performance, just truth. Here's how emotionally untouchable people speak. I'm not available for that. I won't continue this conversation if it stays disrespectful. That doesn't work for me. I need time to think. No, I understand you feel that way. Without absorbing it, I'm choosing what's best for me. Notice what's missing? Long explanations. Defensive energy. Begging to be understood. You don't need someone to agree with your boundary for it to be real. A boundary is not a request. It's a decision. And here's the one sentence I promised. The sentence that ends most draining conversations without a fight. I'm not available for this version of the conversation. Calm, simple, final. No heat, no insult, just containment. When you do this work, life starts to rearrange. Not because you became harsh, but because you became clear. You stop waking up with dread. You stop bracing for people. You stop feeling responsible for everyone's mood. Your energy returns, and with it, your intuition gets louder. You can sense manipulation faster. You can sense misalignment faster. You can sense when something is off without needing proof. You stop chasing closure. Because your peace becomes closure. You stop explaining your worth. Because you stop needing permission to exist. And something else happens. The people who only benefited from your lack of boundaries begin to fade. They call you changed. They call you cold. They call you different. Let them. Because the truth is, you didn't become cold. You became contained. You didn't lose your heart. You stopped bleeding. And the right people, the ones who respect energy, they meet you at your level. They don't demand access. They earn it. This is where relationships become cleaner. Friendships become real. Love becomes safer. Because you are no longer a free resource. You are a sacred place. Picture this. The world is loud. Voices rise. Phones buzz. Opinions fly like sparks. And there you are, a calm face amid chaos. Not because you're detached from life, but because you're anchored in yourself. You don't flinch at emotional storms because you recognize them as weather, not reality. You don't panic when someone disapproves because you no longer outsource your self-worth. You don't need to win every argument because your energy is too valuable to waste on proving what your spirit already knows. This is untouchable, soft, open, present, but unshakable. So remember, nobody can drain you again. When you stop abandoning yourself, the trigger was never a curse. It was a map. It showed you where your shadow lives. It showed you where your boundaries are thin. It showed you what you still need to reclaim. Do the work slowly, honestly, and you'll notice something. The same people who once controlled your mood no longer reach you, not because you hardened, but because you healed. If this resonated, like and subscribe, not for the algorithm, but as a commitment to your own evolution. And if you want to seal this lesson, leave a comment with one sentence. Today, I stop leaking my energy to say it, name it, because words are not just sound. They are direction. And your next chapter begins when you decide, my peace is not negotiable.